Hey everybody, this is Adam Sauer, and welcome to Thinking in 3D. This is a show I'm going to be working on over the next year and experimenting with to create new ways of visualizing memory. But first, let's go take a quick flight around where we are right now in Austin, Texas, on a morning where there was an ice storm last night, and it is pretty interesting. Downtown. Gotta get some GPS before I can fly upwards. Let's see if we can get enough GPS that we can follow that. Okay, now that we've flown around in the drone a little bit, I'm gonna head out and transition to showing you more about this project. Basically, it's a memory palace for the year 2023, and I'm going to kind of give a deep dive into how it works. By the way, now I'm here at the bicentennial time capsule of Austin at golden hour, so I thought it would be a great time to kind of finish this up. But yeah, so here we go into the memory palace of thinking in 3D. Okay, so here we are again. This is thinking in 3D, so we want to focus on virtual experiences that involve the human, involve the body, involve our perception and our awareness of the nature and the environment around us, and then also help us to focus and look within and imagine stuff, lots of VR things, really. We're just going to focus on what's going on in the head right there. Ignore all this space. This is just for a fancy intro. All right, so we're gonna zoom in, go back onto the brain. Again, this is thinking in 3D. This is really what it is. This is the show. This is 1 year, a block for every month. And so from the bottom, January, February, March, April, May, June, July, September, October, November, July, August, September, October, November, whatever. You know, a year, 12 months. It's very symmetrical and it divides up to 12 pretty nicely. This is reminiscent of Sergevum in the shape of it, but I wanted to create a space for each month that could be very fillable with memories, unique memories, and then I'll do an episode on each of those. So I'm going to start out here with January. And so that is going to be this episode. of, once again, thinking in 3D. As we move in here, you'll see the data tree off to the right. That's a representation of a file system, and there's kind of more on the floor. But more on that later. We'll probably have an episode on that itself. For now, let's start out with just the idea of a memory palace in general. Dating back to ancient Greece, there's this concept known as the method of loci, or loci. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to understand how to pronounce it. But basically, back in those olden times, people would use the 3D shape of a building or space or something to help keep track of ideas. This is a time where a lot of books didn't even exist yet. The idea was used for several rhetorical treatises, which I think of as wordy compositions. A song, poem, homily, proverb. So people were still writing things on papyrus and stone tablets at the point, and so most domains of knowledge were locked up in people's minds, in the instructor's mind. Now today, this technique is used in memory competitions. It might be to memorize all the cards in a deck of cards, or several decks of cards even. Also names and faces, poetry, things like that. So for exercise, I tried my hand at this, and this is kind of what you're looking at right now. A general 2D map for all the card based off of their numbers, and then as they progress in order, you're drawing a line that connects between them for a bunch of different cards. And so I did this for 52 cards. I came up with a coordinate system that once you feed it in 52 cards, it will map those out and draw a line accordingly. And the idea behind this, and then it will also, as you kind of see these different colors, it's chunking it up into blocks of 10. Chunking is a technique used just in psychology to help us remember things. You can think of it as like a phone number. Instead of just trying to remember 10 digits, you can break it up into 3, 3, and 4 so that it's easier to remember. So I'm using that same technique to break up these into individual blocks of 10, and then further to break up the 52 into 5 blocks of 10 and then 1 block of 2, and different colors accordingly for each, so that as you're diving through this in your memory, you don't get lost. And so here's the code for this. This is also on GitHub, and I'll include a link on that there, but you can see it's relatively straightforward, just how to parse through and draw the line accordingly to that string. Anyways, moving on. I don't want to get too distracted by this memory palace of decks of cards, because I think there's something more important to dig into. So that brings us to Circavum. Circavum, this is something we're going to come back to throughout the show. This is core to the show, and the show is kind of to build into something to do with Circavum. It's growing off of this idea of the world line, which is the trajectory of something through space and time. And so what you're looking at here is the planetary orbits, where they kind of spiral up into time for the future and down into the past. Much more on that later. We'll probably have several shows just on that. For now, to finish out this memory palace for January are some memories from January, including Rocket Ranch, a Skydio dock installation at a power station, the MIT VR hackathon, which was an amazing experience, going back home, and then also what we're looking at right here is actually the logo to my company, Overview Solutions, which is how I do contracting with engineering companies mostly, on the spirit of like mapping and things like that. And so, but what I want to capture is how I'm going to use this Thinking in 3D YouTube channel to kind of help organize the projects that I do for Circavum and for Overview Solutions. So I do outside projects, and then I bring a lot of the concepts that I'm going to be working on into implementation. And so I've got a Patreon that I just created to ask for a little bit of support so that I can keep doing this. And then also we've got a Discord where we discuss different episodes and the content that's going to go in those episodes, theories behind it, maybe expand upon those episodes so that further times we can dig into like what's going to be in February. And so that's something that is undecided as of yet. But for now, this was just this episode. I want to give you guys a quick overview of that and a quick zoom through this whole concept. For February, I'm kind of thinking of focusing on passwords and crypto and things like that, but I'm working on different visualizations to bring into each of those. Then we'll progress through the year, and each month I'll post a YouTube video with the projects I worked on. The idea behind this is to be a collaborative effort, so I'm looking to work with people I've had the chance to meet in the AR and VR industry in general, and also to share this in a way where you can zoom around it in VR. So that'll be a part of the progression of this channel and in this series in general. And with that, thank you for joining me for the first episode of Thinking in 3D. And I will see you next month. Okay. Can we land on the table? Well, hold on. Let's do this. Can we do that? Can we land this time properly? You got it. I believe in you. Sort of. You got it. You got it. Yeah.